Alright, so now we want to go over the example that I left you with last night. If you have any questions or if you had any questions in class, you can go back and review this over and over until you understand, or if you have any other questions, you can formulate them and bring them to me. Now, in the problem that you were given, you had if 10.3 grams of aluminum are reacted with 51.7 grams of copper sulfate, how much copper in grams will be produced? And the equation was provided: 2 moles of aluminum plus 3 moles of copper sulfate yield 3 moles of copper and 2 moles of aluminum sulfate. So let's go ahead and start into our calculations. Again, you know this is a limiting reactant problem because they give you two quantities and you're comparing it to one product. And our product in this case is going to be copper metal. So I'm going to go ahead and start my table. And I start off with my 10.3 grams of aluminum. Now, I need to convert this to how many grams of copper. So the same process applies. Got to convert this first to moles. And we know that 1 mole of aluminum has a mass of 26.98. We're getting this from our periodic table, so you always want to make sure you're going back and you have it handy. Now, once we've converted this into moles, next move is to do our mole ratio. Moles you want divided by moles you have. So we want 3 moles of copper out, and we're putting in 2 moles of aluminum for each of our steps or for our recipe. And last but not least, we got to convert this back to grams of copper though. So in 1 mole of copper, we have 63.55 grams. Now, once we plug this into our calculator, we're going to come out with an answer of 36.39 grams of copper. Now, we need to take this one step further because we can't just say, okay, now I'm going to produce this much. We have to go into the next step, which is going to tell us how much of our copper sulfate or how much copper we use with our other reactant, which is copper sulfate. So, 51.7 grams of copper sulfate. We've got to convert that again to moles. Our mole ratio is our conversion to convert it to moles. 1 mole of copper sulfate has a mass of 159.62 grams. We notice that we have for every 3 moles of copper that come out, we put 3 moles of copper sulfate in, and this is something you want to pay attention to. And again, 1 mole of copper has a mass of 63.55. Now, paying attention, you notice that a portion of, or at least half of our table, is the same as what we did in the previous step. So remember, once you have your information correct for the first step, you're going to copy that lighter end and bring it down into your next part. Now, once we plug this into a calculator, we get 20.58 grams. And we said that our limiting reactant is the one that's going to cause us to make the least amount of product. So in this case, the least amount of product was 51.7 grams of copper sulfate. So copper sulfate is limiting, and we actually produced 20.58 grams of copper. We're going to pick this up in class. Have a great day.